When faced with coursework, assignments, and up-and-coming exams, students usually complain about being bored with their studies, not having the energy to start, or not seeing the relevance of the effort required. They just don't seem to have the motivation. What then is motivation? Motivation is simply the desire to do something. It is the impulse that inspires a person into action. In this case, the something is succeeding in your studies, which is your goal. Therefore, motivation is what drives you to reach your goal. For most students, it often means finding the drive to do something that they do not necessarily want to do, such as attending lectures, completing an assignment, writing a report, or studying for an exam. What actually drives us to do our work? Your level of motivation or drive is a combination of skill, which is what you know, and will, which is how you apply yourself, and affects your chances of succeeding in your studies. So remember, motivation is skill plus will. Skill is what you know, and will is how you apply yourself. It is important to understand which of the two is relevant in any given situation, so that you can select the best approach to get yourself going. Ask yourself, do I have the skills? And am I willing to put in the effort? If you lack motivation, ask yourself why. Be honest with yourself. You probably know why you are not motivated. Do you lack the necessary skill because of inability to handle the task? If through a lack of training, skill, or ability, you feel you lack the personal resources and skill needed to complete the task, then consult with the many different types of support available on campus. They include the Academic Development and Support Center, as well as tutors who are available to help you. Ambiguity. People often feel silly to ask for help as they expect that others will think they should already know the answer. As a student, you are here to learn, and learning requires asking questions. Your lecturers and tutors are here to help. Defeatism. Varsity often requires a new way of learning, and anything new can cause people to feel anxious. Therefore, part of the skill is to learn to tolerate the discomfort of not being able to do something perfectly straight away. Do you lack the will due to test anxiety? Do you worry and have negative thoughts that disrupt your performance? Fear of failure or success. Distractions. Varsity life is full of lovely distractions. So spend time identifying what yours are and think what you need to do temporarily in order to concentrate on your work. Time management issues. Students usually underestimate the time it will take to complete a task and delay starting a task because they believe they have sufficient time left. Alternatively, you may start a task on time, but find it takes longer than expected and therefore start believing and reconfirming your fear that you're not very good at the task. Lack of relevance. If you consider something as neither relevant, meaningful, or of value to you personally, it can be difficult to get motivated, even to begin. Finding relevance in the work you do is important to keep you motivated. Perfectionism. Setting impossibly high standards for yourself can be paralyzing. Many people make a connection between how they achieve academically and whether other people like, value, or accept them. If this is the case, then the success or lack of success becomes a measure of your self-worth and value as a human being. Phew! This can be very stressful, and so it becomes better not to do the work at all and be seen as lacking effort rather than the ability. An easy excuse. Lack of confidence. Academic work at varsity is designed to be challenging. However, it is more difficult if you think that struggling with your work is a sure sign that you are not an able student. Everyone at varsity has to work hard, and despite what you think of others, no one is perfectly brilliant. If you are self-critical because you don't know an answer, then you won't feel able to ask for help to learn. Recognize and accept that academic struggle is normal and to succeed requires a lot of effort. These are just some of the reasons, and you may have thought of a few others. Whatever these may be, it is better to get them out into the open instead of having them lurking in the recesses of your unconscious mind. Once you understand why you cannot get yourself motivated enough to tackle your work, it gives you the chance to challenge them. It is not that you can't motivate yourself, but rather whether you are willing to set up a plan to create that motivation. Here are some strategies and tips to get you moving. Having a purpose. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? If you are driven to do something because it is genuinely interesting, meaningful, or because it contributes to your self-development, it becomes a more powerful form of motivation than doing something for the sake of status or grades. The nature of varsity studies are abstract and theoretical and may not be interesting or meaningful to you. If you can't find anything inherently interesting in your studies or work, then think about its practical applications and whether it can serve you in some way today or in the future. For example, writing empowers you with the skill of communicating with others. If you can frame your work in a meaningful and engaging way, you might be able to tap into a superior and more robust form of motivation and be more productive. Make a commitment, otherwise you won't have a drive. Control your impulses and your environment. Turn off your phone, stop checking your emails, study in a better location, and be assertive and learn to say no. Be realistic. Don't expect too much from yourself. Expecting too much is a way of setting yourself up for failure. Set goals for gradual improvement. Don't try for big changes all at once. Break the work down into manageable steps. Set yourself time-bound goals and focus on one task at a time. Get organized and create a priority to-do list. It emphasizes just how important the piece of work is and identifies precisely when it is due. Plan how long it will take to complete the task and identify when you need to get started in order to avoid being late. Find rewards. When you do something that you feel good about, give yourself a small reward. Make up your own rewards, such as watching a favorite television show or enjoying a great cup of coffee. Reward yourself in an intrinsic way as well by focusing on your progress, goal, and achievement with a task, and make sure you notice how good it feels. Peer pressure works. Ask someone to check up on you or revise with a friend or fellow student from a study group. Learn to believe in yourself. Create the confidence by developing the skill needed to perform the task. Identify the unpleasant consequences of not doing the task. These may include low marks or failure. Hold the unpleasantness of not completing the task in the front of your mind. If you put off your work because you're feeling overwhelmed, here are some tips. Break the task down into smaller, more manageable steps. Start with some easier and smaller tasks. You will feel that you are achieving your goals so that the whole project won't feel so overwhelming after all. Most people overestimate the unpleasantness of a task, so give it a try. You may find it is not as bad as you thought. To conclude, to get you motivated, you need to identify immediately that you are not motivated, and then you need to identify why you are doing it. Explore the problems behind the problem. Use reflection or ask yourself, what is the reason behind all of this? Talk to friends and listen what they have to say about you. Come to PsycAD and talk to a professional to explore the reasons behind your lack of motivation, and then to take appropriate steps to overcome the block.